Wait, that's happened? The US and Canada almost went to war over a pig. History is full of strange but true and unbelievable stories. In 1859, the United States and Britain nearly went to war over a pig. Yes, a pig. The affair is remembered with a mix of humor and disbelief as the Pig War. The stage was set in the Pacific Northwest on the San Juan Islands, a cluster of green and rocky outposts between Vancouver Island and the U.S. territory of Washington. The islands were valuable not for their beauty alone, but for their strategic location. Both Britain and the United States claimed sovereignty over them, thanks to an ambiguous treaty signed years earlier. The Oregon Treaty of 1846 was supposed to settle the border between British Canada and the United States along the 49th parallel, but it left one glaring question unresolved. Who owned the San Juan Islands? Both sides moved in, with American settlers farming one side and the Hudson's Bay Company, representing Britain, running sheep on the other. Tension brewed quietly, like a storm that hadn't yet broken. Into this delicate balance wandered a pig. On a June morning in 1859, an Irish farmer named Lyman Cutler, an American settler, found a large black pig rooting through his potato patch. It belonged to Charles Griffin, an employee of the Hudson's Bay Company. This wasn't the first time the pig had feasted on Cutler's potatoes, and on this day, Cutler had had enough. He shot it dead. That single gunshot echoed louder than anyone could have imagined. Griffin, outraged, demanded compensation. Cutler offered $10, but Griffin insisted the animal was worth $100. Arguments escalated, tempers flared, and soon the local authorities were involved. What began as a quarrel between neighbors now threatened to inflame an international border dispute. News spread quickly, and within weeks, both nations had troops on the move. The U.S. Army dispatched soldiers under the command of Captain George Pickett, who later gained infamy at Gettysburg. Pickett, with typical bravado, declared that Americans would never be ousted from their land by British authorities. Not to be outdone, the British sent warships into the waters around the islands. Suddenly, a handful of potato fields and one unfortunate pig had brought two empires to the brink of war. For a tense summer, British warships and American soldiers glared at each other across the San Juan Islands. Muskets were loaded, cannons were primed, and orders were sharpened, but no shots were fired. At one point, over 2,000 troops and 5 British naval vessels stood ready for battle. The only casualty remained the pig. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. British Admiral Robert Baines refused to escalate, famously remarking that he would not involve two great nations in a war over a squabble about a pig. Negotiators worked to calm the crisis, and both sides agreed to a joint military occupation of the islands, while diplomats in London and Washington hammered out a solution. For 12 years, British redcoats and American soldiers shared San Juan Island in a peculiar peace, even playing baseball games together to pass the time. Finally, in 1872, the dispute was formally settled. An international arbitration led by Kaiser Wilhelm I of Germany awarded the San Juan Islands to the United States. The British accepted the ruling without protest, and the Pig War ended without bloodshed, save for that poor pig in the potato patch. The Pig War has lived on in memory not because of the scale of the conflict, but because of its absurdity. It stands as one of the strangest near misses in history, a reminder of how fragile peace can be, and how easily it might have shattered over something as small as a farm animal. Yet it's also a story of restraint, how, at least once, both sides chose negotiation over bloodshed. So, when you think of wars that reshaped the world, the Pig War may not rank alongside the great battles of history, but it's hard to forget that moment when two mighty nations almost went to war, not over gold, or land, or glory, but over one pig with very bad timing. If you enjoyed this strange piece of history, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more.